All right, we got to talk about this Sydney Sweeney thing because it has been everywhere, man. It's been on the socials. It's been in real life. It's been on the news. If you click the video, I'm assuming you already know about it. I'm sure you've seen the commercial. I'm sure you know about the jeans, and I'm sure you've heard about all the outrage. And just when I'm looking at this in my real life, I'm looking at what's on my screens versus I'm seeing what's in real life, and I'm thinking about who benefits from this. My mind starts to go straight to conspiracy theory. And just bear with me for a second. Just put your tinfoil hats on, so to speak, for a second. Like, think about who this is good for, okay? We can break this down to kind of an iceberg levels of conspiracy. Let's imagine you're sitting in, like, the boardroom over at American Eagle, and the boss is there, and he's saying his shit. Well, guys, sales are down, the marketing budget's down. We need to find a way to roll out this summer campaign, summer ad, and, do something that's really going to be a smash. Anybody have any ideas? And some genius raises his hand. He goes, all right, listen, let's go. I'm thinking hot girl. Everyone's like, yeah, obviously, hot girl, okay. Now, what if we start talking about, like, jeans? Like, you look at this hot girl, and then you start talking about how good jeans can make you super hot, but also jeans because denim. I was like, wow, all right. I like where your head's at. And you go, bear with me. Now, bear with me. Here's the kicker, right? What if we put enough, we put just some subtle stuff in there that could invite some questions. Questions around, I don't know, race science, What, we got the blue hair, the blonde-eyed girl talking about the good genes. Remember? You guys remember back like in the 40s? Oh, wait. Throwing some buzzwords, make it a talk about eugenics. And then what if, all right, couple of you, we paint your hair blue. We post some blog posts. We throw some videos up on Twitter. We tell people how to feel about this. And then boom, every news outlet picks it up. This ad can go from what would have been 100,000 impressions to 100 million. And every person who never would have known about it suddenly clicks on it. And I'm sitting here, like, from my vantage point, like, dude, I didn't see the commercial. I didn't see it until I went and looked it up because of the controversy. I don't even have terrestrial TV anymore. So, like, it worked on me. And it worked in a big way, man. It's in my news feed every single day. And I don't think American Eagle's paying a penny for that. If you think about that, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. You can call me crazy. You can call me conspiracy. I think 5 years ago, the thought of putting, like, Nazi propaganda in an American Eagle commercial would have been considered conspiracy. But now, for some reason, that's considered, like, mainstream. And I'm not saying that that's how it works. But I'm just imagining, if I'm some marketing executive with slightly less well-defined morals, and I've got shareholders, I've got a board of directors I'm beholden to, and I know I can make my career move in a big way for this, like, I don't know, man. Just think about it. Just think about the incentive. That's all I'm saying. But maybe it's not so egregious. This is all just my head. You probably won't hear this anywhere else. It could be less egregious than that. Maybe it could just be like a level 2 of the iceberg, where maybe they're letting the outrage happen. Now, I know the first one's a stretch. So imagine maybe it wasn't orchestrated in a boardroom to that degree. Maybe they made the commercial, they got the hot girl, they had the double entendre on jeans or whatever, super catchy. And then, they're running it through their guys. They're running it through legal. They're running it through PR. And maybe someone comes to them and goes, hey, listen, we think about if we talk about jeans like this, we might be offending a certain segment of the population. And that same VP from marketing goes, well, you know what? This could be something. All right, let it run. Let's just see what happens. And then they can sit back, aware of it, and then just let the internet do its thing. And maybe hope for it. Hope that it blows up in this way. Because again, they only had to make the ad one time. They had to put it out. And then I guarantee you probably 95% of their impressions are not paid for. 95% of their impressions are people just talking about it. And that's the beauty of outrage marketing, man. You don't need to light the fire. You just lay some dry grass there. You spark the crowd, and then you let the internet do its thing. And same outcome. You get the same outcome, but you have less effort. Or let's even take it down another level now. So we'll go like level 3. Maybe people were really offended. I'm sure the number of people offended is not 0. Is it 1? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? I don't know. But I suspect, and you hear people say stuff like this, I suspect it's a vocal minority. Because the internet knows how to make anything feel like half the country's up in arms about it. But in real life, like, that's not what I'm seeing, man. I've got a ton of liberal friends, and I talk to them, like, so, how do you guys feel about this? And, like, nobody in my real life, nobody on the left is, like, really complaining. Nobody is talking about eugenics. And it's not to say that they don't exist, but if you're a person who's seeing this and you're thinking the world is, like, up in, like, outrage about this, like, look in your real life and look at, and who knows, listen, maybe I'm out of touch. I got 5 subscribers now on YouTube. Up here in my ivory castle, I might have lost touch with the little man. But me, in my real world, I'm not seeing the outrage from the left. And honestly, my friends the only people I'm hearing say anything about it are my conservative friends. And they're all bringing it up. They're like, yo, can you believe how mad people are about this Sydney Sweeney thing? And I'm like, no, honestly, I kind of don't actually. I think it's mostly noise. I think it's maybe, I don't know, 10,000 people. I think it feels like a million because our feeds are curated to make us think that the world's on fire. And, it's a trick here. And I think we'd be foolish. I'm not saying it actually is the case here with American Eagle, but I think we'd be foolish to think that there's not people out there exploiting it for money. And we could even take it down another level. And it's honestly probably what's going on is probably some kind of a combination of these things. But there is just this thing that, like, outrage is a content strategy. So maybe there's people that aren't that mad, but they're kind of mad. Like, maybe they saw the commercial and someone felt like, hey, like, this actually does kind of give the wrong idea here. And they had the idea that might be the case, but they're not super offended about it. But then, like, they've got a platform they've got to post content on every day. And you realize that this could spark outrage, and they go, all right, I'll even though it's not actually exactly like how I feel, it's not weighted the same way that I feel, I'm going to sit here and hop on like I'm completely furious over something that kind of just ticked me off. And then I'm going to set the internet on fire because I say it in a passionate way. And then people get behind it and it blows up. And that's not conspiracy like on American like Eagles part, but it is like, multiple people conspiring to weave a narrative for, in this case, it would be probably self-gain in this level of conspiracy. Like if someone sat there and they had a smaller channel and they blew up and got 5 million views, like ultimately that worked very well for them. And it doesn't matter if it's how they really felt. People just pick it up and they go with it, and it becomes like a political talking point. And, people just immediately insert these talking points into their conversation. And I know that this happens because it's happened to me. Like I'll give you a real example in my own life. Years ago, my mother-in-law and I got into like a legitimate argument over whether or not college basketball players should be paid. Now you can think whatever you want about this, but I'll give you the context for myself. It was heated. She was heated. I was heated. We went back and forth like it mattered. And what is so funny is at this point in my life, I had never even watched a full basketball game. I don't know the rules. I could name you LeBron James. I could name you Michael Jordan. That's it. So it's like really strange when looking back, like, hey man, why would you have had such a strong opinion on this when you don't watch the game, you don't know any college athlete, you literally don't have a dog in this fight, and you don't even understand it? And the reason is because I saw some kind of outrage content, I'm sure, and it told me how to think, and they sounded smart, and I agreed with it, and I nodded my head, and I just went off, and I got in the fight. And when I see these things happening, I really think, like, to some degree, that is what's happening now. Creators see an ad, they think I can twist it into outrage, I can throw some dramatic music in there, I can say it pushes Nazi ideology, and then boom, viral video, monetized outrage, society suffers, I don't care, I got my back, So in instances like that, like, it's not even real opinion people are having, it's performance, it's manufactured drama for clicks. And the reason it happens is because it works. Like, all right, I got a great example of how this could work. I think somebody feel free to take this and use this. But like, imagine you had to start like a water company right now. You know what I mean? So it's hard. Water's basically a commodity. It's one of the hardest. Like, the whole thing is a marketing effort. Everyone's selling the same thing, but there's 50 different like water companies. So if I was going to start a new water company today, I think I would make the brand called like Be Fluid. And all right, I'm going to flash through a commercial. Maybe there's a guy running up a mountain. He's running up a creek, and it's so much adversity. And he's got to be able to just go with the flow. Okay, that's kind of like the tone you're setting. It's like be fluid, like kind of just go with the situation, but also you're running through the creek, and then you get to the top, and the guy's sweating, and he's like, oh, I can't go on. He gets his be fluid and starts sipping it. And then boom, all right, pretty innocuous. And then same thing, I'm in that boardroom. I go, all right, now here's what we need. Here's what we need. Get some young guys. Get some guys in suit. Get some church pastors, you know what I mean? And I want you to sit there, and I want them to scream from every platform that they have. This is them putting their gender politics in my water, have people on TikTok screaming, have smart people saying things in a way that's like intended to get you outraged. And guess what, man? I actually think, I'm not even kidding, I think that would blow up. I think if you're out there and you got a water company, feel free to use that. I'd love to see my thoughts happen out in the zeitgeist. I bet you'd see boycotts. I bet you'd see people burning water bottles. I bet you'd see people on Fox News and CNN telling you why it's the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. It's just like, if it bleeds, it reads. And I think we'd be foolish to think that there's not people out there benefiting from that. So, I don't know, man. I guess I don't have any real takeaways here. Here's where I land. Here's where I land for me and my life. It might be a genius marketing campaign. It might be just a coincidence on the internet that got spun out of control. Or it might be bad faith creators just chasing clout. Or it could be like some combination of all of the above. But either way, I think as a people, we could probably just stand to chill. Because at the end of the day, outrage is the product. And we're all paying for it with our attention. So before I jump in and get any fights with my mother-in-law over things that I don't even have a dog in the fight about, I'm just going to ask myself, like, am I actually mad here? Or did I just get played by some kind of an influencer, some kind of a marketing company, some kind of whatever it might be. Because sometimes it feels like we're just getting pulled along by the strings and like we don't even see what's going on behind the scenes. So I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm not. Hope you all got something out of this, or at least found it entertaining. And, let me know what's going to be happening. Are you guys buying the jeans? Probably not. I think most of my listeners are male, but let me know. And if not, hope you all have a good day. Hope you have a good life. Peace.